In this episode, Dr. Rob and Corey Davis talk about soy, whether it's good or bad, prebiotics, and, well, manufacturing processes of probiotics.
I'm with you 100% on that if you can find a probiotic that is bacteria, but also that medium by which the bacteria was cultured in, that's what Rob keeps referring to as medium, is whenever they're making probiotics on an industrial scale, which is how you
let's explain that.
When you make them for supplements, then you have to grow the bacteria in something. Some people use a dairy culture, other people use a soy culture. There's a lot of different food mediums, sometimes just a grain. And that medium becomes rich, just like the kimchi or just like the sauerkraut or whatever fermented food is rich in acidic compounds and transformed nutrition that is also beneficial for your gut and your other bacteria that already exist in your gut. So when a company cultures in a medium that is beneficial, and then includes that with a bacteria, it's almost like, imagine the bacteria are at home. They have a nice place to live. They have shelter. They have food. They're in their natural family of orientation, the way that they grew naturally in that medium rather than being separated and forced apart. Imagine Child Protective Services breaks in and steals the children away and makes the parents go into another place. Believe it or not, even on a bacterial level, to do that, you're messing with the natural order, the way that perhaps there's synergy or symbiosis that's going on between these bacterial families. And a lot of probiotic companies they'll do just that. They'll play Child Protective Services, rip away the bacteria from their homes, from the medium, from the other cultures that bacteria likes to hang out with. And then they'll just concentrate a single strain, right, of that bacteria, and then go for a very high dose version of probiotic, which means very low medium, very high bacteria. And Rob and I definitely don't disagree that doing that can damage the bacteria. It can make the bacteria less effective when they're isolated this way. And that ultimately, dose does not mean effectiveness when it comes to just sending a bunch of bacteria down into your gut. Right, Rob?
Right. And so, you want to be replacing healthy bacteria, especially after antibiotic or after huge bouts of diarrhea. Like if you have food poisoning or something, or if you've been constipated for a long period of time, you want to evaluate your diet. Are you eating fermented foods, and do you have a diet that's high in fiber? Because there's the prebiotic side of it too, fruits and
fiber.
Certain fibers that can help your body naturally. It feeds the existing bacteria so they can grow and thrive and balance over time. That's what it's about. So I think there's a huge merit to ingesting higher dosages of probiotics in the short term, but you don't want to be taking these things every day for a long period of time, because you're still introducing high amounts of bacteria into your body. And there's just openings all over the body, even on the inside. There's openings within the digestive tract. There's microabrasions and things. I know we discussed that, but I want to stress that big time. They could be dangerous. They really, really, really can be dangerous. So I think short term you can do it. I think it has benefit. It's a great idea, actually. You speak to your physician. It's a great idea to have high dosages of probiotics, like in the 50 to 100 billion CFU count after something like that. If you're in the hospital, antibiotics, diarrhea, etc. But don't take them long term. And ultimately, you'd want to be switching after a very short period of time of that. You'd want to be switching back to something that has a really good medium, and then start to wean down on the dosage of the actual bacteria count itself. Because eventually then it's the medium that really has the benefit, I think.
That's right.
You want to be supporting your existing bacteria.
Yeah.
And then eventually not at all. You just want to be getting it through food, because the only reason why you need probiotics is if your gut flora is out of whack. You don't need it it's not a food group. You don't just eat bacteria. I mean,
it's not essential. Yeah.
No, I mean, if you're eating right, you just get it naturally. If you're eating good, high quality breads, if you're eating, I don't know, whatever, kimchi, sauerkraut. I know we keep thinking of those. What are some other great fermented foods? I don't eat idli, but
well, I'd love to talk about soy during this conversation. It's like the controversial fermented food. Rob, so I'm pro soy. I really think, especially fermented soy, is an amazing food. But soy has, of course, got that negative connotation through certain research that it's going to actually increase the chance of getting breast cancer. It's estrogenic. It's not even food. It's highly processed. Where
I'm
do you
on that
weigh in
side.
on all that stuff?
So I fall on that side. I'm against soy, except for fermented soy, and I'm against soy in context, and I'm for soy in context. When you look at the Japanese diet, most of the soy they're consuming, if they're consuming any in larger amounts, it's fermented. And whatever soy they're consuming in the unfermented version, like tofu, it's very, very small amounts. It's only here in North America where we looked, tofu, it's a complete amino acid profile, and we're eating too much meat and dairy here, so let's go vegan. We'll use soy as a meat replacement. That's the mistake we all make. Soy is not a meat replacement. It's a very healthy food to add into your diet in very, very small quantities. Just think of your miso soup. Next time you go to that all-you-can-eat sushi place, you look in the miso soup, there are these tiny little cubes of tofu. That's it. That's great. Dunzo. Any other soy that you might be consuming should only be, in my opinion, should only be miso and tempeh. That's it. And there really is no meat substitute. I mean, when we think of meat, we're thinking meat like this in the form of like a steak. There is no vegetable substitute for that. Like we have to change the way we're thinking. There is no, we're having an 8 to 10 ounce steak, so we should have an 8 to 10 ounce
tofu steak,
blob of some vegetable thing that's going to also provide us like 25 grams of protein.
It's a highly processed food.
Yeah. No, you're mixing in a little bit of tempeh with tons of vegetables and legumes and healthy grains, and that over the course of a day, week, and months, you end up getting you end up being protein sufficient amongst other macro and micronutrients. That's the idea. But people just get it wrong. They're always thinking, how can I create the vegan version of a burger? That's not the point. Not even by a long shot. They're so wrong. They have to wake up. So that's my view on soy.
I'm with you 100%. I don't think that, so there are a lot of negative anti-nutrients in soy. There's a lot in vegetables in general, but soy in particular has things that can actually, they're called goitrogens. So the things that can actually decrease your thyroid activity, inhibit that. If you eat it in huge doses, yes, I think some of the phytoestrogen activity could be a little aggressive for the body. With soy, it's definitely devil's in the dose. But the positive benefits of fermented soy, it's amazing. It's a perfect example of taking a food that you and I would both argue, let's just look at tofu, is marginally bad, not highly beneficial, to making it extremely beneficial on the end of the fermentation scale. Once you take that same soybean and you ferment it, and it biotransforms into something completely different, that is alchemy. That is. But
by the way, I just want to say, in context though of amount, I think having a steak of tofu is very, very bad. I actually believe that. I think it's super duper bad. I really do, over a long period of time.
So Rob would put that on the super duper end of the scale.
Yeah. Now in small amounts, I think it's probably has great benefit. Again, the benefit is you're reducing saturated fat, a lot of high amounts of cholesterol if your diet is already very high in those things, to now cutting out of those things, to also consuming something that's less acidic and so forth with tofu. But again, context. If you're replacing a chicken thigh or 2 or 3 chicken thighs with 2 or 3 pieces of tofu that big all the time, in my book, it's very, very super duper uberly bad. To your point about the tempeh being like ultra insanely good, but again, in context, we don't know what's going to happen if you're eating 3 chicken thighs worth of tempeh every single day. That's just so North American of us. Like it's just it's ridiculous to think. So we want to be doing things in context, smaller amounts. And then the hormonal side of it, you look at the soy isoflavones, the supplement industry, another thing, they just totally exploited this. Genistin, Dazdin, these soy isoflavones that kind of look like estrogen, these phytoestrogens that they claim are so great for PMS, menopause, so forth. First of all, I don't even think they're good in the context of tofu, unfermented. I think they create havoc in the body. Now I'm talking about in large dosages over a long period of time. So that's context. But then the supplement industry also, when they're extracting the stuff, they're probably using chemicals, and then you're losing all the other compounds from the soy too. So it's like another story altogether versus the tempeh. the soy, and actually I got this from Paul Schulich in his book. I didn't even know this before he mentioned this, but the soy isoflavones actually change structure and name when they're fermented. So daisdin, IN, genistin, IN converts into EIN, daisdine, genistine. So the structure is slightly different. And I think that's one of the reasons when you take these soy isoflavones from fermented soy, like natto and tempeh and miso, the benefits are way, way, way better for hormonal health. Like I believe you can take those very beneficially for menopause, PMS, and so forth.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing news for people. Cause I feel sorry for soy because of that, because it gets lumped into this category as like this singular thing, you know,
and then GMO is the other side of it too, right? Yeah. It's highly, highly exploited, genetically modified crop. And that's another story altogether, right?
Highly sprayed too with pesticides.
So organic and non-GMO are two
hugely important with soy. Probably more than most any other food that's consumed because of the sheer volume of the
and it's not that expensive, and it really isn't hard to find at all anymore. Organic, non-GMO, project verified soy, tofu,
it's kind of the norm.
Yeah.
Just keep your eyes out. Don't buy the super, super cheap stuff. It's not worth it.
No, like spend $3 instead of like $1 and you're good. You know?
Exactly.
Or just don't
You're
eat
worth it.
Yeah, you're worth it.